There we go. We happen to be and he said, you know something? I really see the two all on I want to talk so you can just say because they were in the channel. Sure.
Do you want to look at it?
And then they go to the.
I'm going to put myself in the channel. Do you want to look at how it's framed? Just kind of a little angle. Is that okay? Or I can scoot it. I don't want to block it for you if I scoot it over too cheap.
My best friend.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
On YouTube. We never really get the presentation. And so residents know that note because of the lighting.
Oh, okay.
We never really get that. So
Okay.
it's more on the sheet what you're saying and
Okay.
all that stuff. So, yeah.
That's all right.
Every time I put this thing on, I know.
I have to move my desk for a minute.
I can see them.
Good. Look okay for you?
Don't say anything.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming out for the apartment safety part 2. This is going to be a little bit more in depth from what our first one was. It is being recorded, so it will be shown on the Breakers channel too. So all the questions and stuff he's going to repeat so that anyone at home will be able to see it. It won't be played until tomorrow. Just gives Molly a little bit more time to make sure everything's good to go. Just a couple housekeeping things. We do have some snacks and he brought some giveaways after. So feel free to stick around after, stop by the table and pick up some free stuff from MedX. Today's presenter is Josh Alger, so you may recognize the last name. It's my husband. He's been in EMS for 33 years. Right out of high school, he went to, he couldn't take accounting classes, so he decided to take an EMS class just for fun and has loved it ever since. He spent 17 years on a fire department in our hometown. Retired from there and has stuck with EMS since then. He came out here in 2019 for a job at MedX Ambulance and has been there since, and that's what brought me here. He's had quite a bit of experience. He worked in the city of Detroit, was his last company that he worked for in Michigan. So he's pretty much seen it all. He's delivered babies, rescued people, you name it. In blizzards, you name it, he's done it. He's done some presidential detail when the presidents came to Michigan, so he's done some of that. So he's got a little bit of experience in a lot of different areas. So without further ado, I'm gonna let Josh do the presentation for your apartment safety. One last housekeeping, sorry. I do have handouts, but I'm gonna wait till the end so that I can get everyone's attention and then I'll give you the handouts at the end.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah.
I'm not going to do the mic drop after, so. Thank you for letting me come out. What I'm going to talk about today is some of the apartment safety, some fire safety, some emergency management, and then try to answer some questions that you guys may have of what you've seen, what you've heard, and then what we can do. I brought some of our equipment with us that we're going to be using, that we would use typically, the stair chair to get you in and out of your apartment, the stretcher if it's brought in, and then talk about the housekeeping side of it, just how much room do we need to get in a stretcher? It doesn't seem like it's that much, but this is hard to get into the elevator. I can get it into the elevator, it clears about that much from the door. So it's a matter of, when we're going, how we move and things. So we'll talk about that a little bit, like Chris said, some handouts and some question and answers at the end. And it depends on how long I talk and how good the snacks are today, so. And all this, the presentation, if you have any questions, go ahead and ask. We're here to make sure that you guys have, not a fun time, but also to answer all of your questions so that you don't have to worry about later. I don't want you to leave later and say, oh, what if I should have asked this? Every question is a good one. Medical emergencies can happen at any time. You never know. Who plans to have a heart attack? Who plans? What's the only thing that you can really plan? And no one here, but a cesarean, right? So, that's about it. Doctor's appointment. So they can happen, and be prepared. When you are ready to leave, if you should have a medical emergency, things that you should have your documentation, have your papers, have your medication list, phone numbers. Everybody has one of these on top of if you don't have one, we'll have a sign-up list, and we'll get you a copy of it. There's also for the back of your door, you have what to do, how to prepare. If you're missing any of this, let us know. We'll get you some copy. We'll get you more copies. But why do you need some of this? Medication list. Medications change all the time. So you're taking a medication today, next week you're taking it different. An easy way to keep your medication list, when you get your prescription stapled to that bag, is the name of what you're taking. Just keep those. Every time you get it, just update it. Make sure it's something that you're taking. Have your updated phone numbers. The breakers will give an emergency contact, but has your family change your cell phone numbers. Every cell phone carrier is giving away phones or giving away, you name it, and who changes their phone. The better deal, they change their numbers. So just make sure they're updated. Nothing's worse than trying to get a hold of a family member and we don't have the numbers to contact them with. We can discuss the medical alert system that they're around. You have that from the old time commercial. I've fallen and can't get up. The medical alert they push. Do you have them here? The pull cords. So use them. If you're into the technology, you have life alerts. Alexa, you can activate your Alexa. Google, I'm not sure how you act, but it's like, hey Alexa, call 911. Hey Alexa, call my son. You can set them up by voice activation to notify. Send an email if something's going on. So keep it going. Anybody who has a pet, let them know that you're leaving. Have an emergency contact. Who wants to come home? And your pets need just as much care as your wives do. But you have to be able to make sure that are they taken out? Are they fed? Are they taken care of? When you get ready to call 911, what do you do with your animal? What do you do? If you have a kennel, put them in it. Your pet is friendly. It's the old story of the guy's walking down the street and your dog does a dog bite? No. He runs down, he gets bit. He goes, I thought you said your dog. It's not my dog. But your dog is friendly to you. I have a little Jack Russell. She loves me dearly. But if someone came near me, she would stop them. So we ask, put your dog in the bathroom, put them in their cage, at least so that they're not bothering us, and that we can do our job, and that your animal is safe. The things that you should have ready. Always say have a to-go bag. In your bag or somewhere close by. Your phone chargers, have your clothing, shoes, medications. Do you need keys for your apartments? If you have them, but they can let you in. But have that stuff ready. There's nothing worse than when I get a patient all hooked up, on a monitor, you start an IV, whatever, and say, oh, I need my phone cord. And they get up and they start walking. It's like, oh, so it's that much of an emergency, but you can wait to get it. Have it all ready. Have it by your door. Keep your stuff close by. Want to know about when EMS arrives at your apartment. What are we going to do? We're going to arrive, and how do you call them? You can either call 911 and they'll come in, or they can call directly. You can call the private ambulance agency. You guys like to use Elite and Superior, I was told. Great. If you like using them, they're excellent companies. So when you call, you're gonna have to have name, your address, where you're calling from, what apartment. What should you do next? Stay calm. What else?
Stay by the door?
Get close to the door, because there's nothing, if they open the door and it's, where are you? I'm in the bedroom. How many bedrooms do these paramedics go to? So find out where they're going, get as close to the door, unlock it, prop your door open. Because it's very easy, if I come off the elevator and I look and there's a door open, most likely that's where we're going. Have everything ready. Stay by the door, stay by your phone. They may have to call you back. The difference between 911 and then a non-emergency. Is this something that you need to go to the emergency room for, lights and sirens, and right now? Or is it, are you not feeling well? Are you, having the cough, the runny nose? Hopefully no one has COVID problems anymore, but is it a matter of what do you need to do to call? 911, you're bleeding, chest pain, always, having trouble breathing. And yes, I don't bash other places at all, but Weiss is your closest hospital. And your local 911 will take you to Weiss. If you call the private companies and you want to go to Swedish, you want to go to Evanston, you want to go to Skokie, downtown, you can call them. They will tell you it's going to be 45 minutes, an hour and a half, whatever. They're ETAs of what they can do. But once they show up to your house, you say you want to go to Swedish, that's fine. But I still have to do an evaluation, and I still have to follow my protocols and the laws of EMS. If you're not stable, you have to go to the closest hospital. So just because you call it private doesn't mean we have any super different powers, but we can still transport. If you're in the downtown in the closer area, they do have a transport +5 rule, which says if you're within 5 minutes of another hospital, you can go. But just know that when the ambulance shows up, it's a paramedic's decision to decide if you have to go to the closest hospital or if you can take that further trip. Just remember, 9 times out of 10, you go to the hospital, you're discharged within 12 hours, and you're not going to see your doctor. If you have a broken finger, something's minor, you can get it quickly fixed and then back home before you really even notice that you're gone. So you have the difference when 911. If you can wait for 45 minutes is about the rule. If you can wait for what's going on for 45 minutes, you can call a private ambulance company to take you where you like to go. But I don't want anyone to say, if you have chest pain, I can stick this out, because it's not going to work. Strokes, chest pain, any difficulty breathing, get the ambulance here. The fire department in this area is very good. They will evaluate you. If you want to go to another hospital, all you tell them is, I'd like to go to Swedish. They will help you and assist you to contact, MedX, Elite, Superior, and then get you to that other hospital. Talking about the equipment that we have. The stair chair, this is one of our newest pieces of equipment that's out on the market. The ones that the fire department uses, they're still the same size, same width. They're a lot lighter, easier to carry up and down the steps. But the stair chair is 22 to 24 inches wide, 27 inches deep, and you can see how tall it is. So it's just a matter of trying to figure out how to get that into your apartment. Or the 6-foot stretcher. How much room do you need? How much room do we need? If you can walk down your hallway, pretty much you tell people, put your arms to the side. Can you walk down a hallway clearly and your knees, foot, and chest height? Then it's pretty decent for us to get in. If we need to get a stretcher in, if you're bedridden, can we put you in a stair chair? Are you able to sit in that? Some people have a hard time. So if we need to get the stretcher, now we're looking at a 6-foot section that we need 6 foot by 22 inches wide. So how do we get you in and out of the house? If your entry is blocked, this could delay us getting in and out. I don't know if you noticed or not, but I'm not a furniture mover. I do like to move stuff, but if we have to we have to move furniture to get to you, all it does is it delays. You're having a heart attack, you're having a stroke. Stroke is cells, brain cells. You can get your TPN medication to help with a clot buster, but if we start delaying, if we take 10 minutes longer at your house or apartment trying to move furniture, moving dressers, it takes up time, and it could be the difference between getting the medication or not. 6 out of every 10 falls happen at the home. Do you believe that? I've read that in other places. I always think it would be higher. You know, that's where they happen. And where's the most prevalent places? Bathrooms, number 1. And the second?
Kitchen.
What?
Kitchen.
Kitchen and the living rooms are the common. And what causes those?
Carpeting, rugs.
Some with the carpeting, but the biggest thing is the rugs. Everybody likes to have throw rugs. My wife's grandma with the brick, we called her, had throw rugs everywhere. You come in the door and there's one. There's one here. There's one over there. And sometimes you didn't even know what the carpet looked like, but there's throw rugs. Please get rid of them, because all they are there is they're trip hazards. You know, if you start walking in, your foot catches on them. If you're using a walker, a mobility device, it catches, and then it's going to catch on your foot. And there's nothing harder than if you're walking and you trip on something, or the walker mobility device, if it catches. So that electrical cords, get rid of them. You know, start moving them against the walls. Have your family, have your friends. If you bring your grandchildren over, you know, let them start tucking them into underneath the sofas, against the walls. Rubber band them so that you get rid of all that extra cording. Any of that trip hazards is the biggest. Is your safety. You can always get the carpets cleaned. You know, in the areas, get them cleaned more often, but it's worth it so that you don't fall. Keep the areas where you walk tidy. Make sure you keep your books and papers up. You know, throw out the rugs, and use your lights. You know, the electricity isn't that much. Throw it, put in a higher light bulb so that you can see where you're walking and where you're moving around. If you are like me, and I read something and I'm squinting, turn the lights on. If I can read it when the lights are on, that's how bright it should be in your apartment, so that you can see where you're moving and you don't trip over anything. Put night lights out. You can't move light switches, but use some night lights if you can. At least you can. What's that?
Yeah,
Flashlights. You know, any of the little motion sensor lights that you have. If you know that you can put, in our house in Michigan, I have the bathroom is right across out my door. And I can see the little bit of dim light, but I know there's never anything in between, except the dog maybe. But there's nothing. I always know that's clear. Same thing here. If you put a night light in a hall, just know that there's nothing there. At least you could walk straight into that area without tripping on anything. Keep a flashlight by your bed. Keep your phone by your bed. When you have do you have your corded phone, or do you guys use all cordless, or both? Or cell phones?
No.
More cell phones? Just remember, keep a phone close to you. You know, they have lanyards, you can clip them on, you can keep them in your pocket on your walker, so it's always with you. Just remember, if you call 911 from a landline, a wired phone, or if it's a cordless phone that's tied to your apartment, they know that you're calling from this location. 99 out of 100 times they can tell what apartment, because it's registered. Cell phones work on triangulation, which means if I call 911 right now, it goes to the cell tower at Foster, and it picks up a signal up at that way, Tui, and they know I'm close to this area, but it's like in a 4-block radius, so they cannot pinpoint that I'm here. If you call from your apartment phone, they know exactly that you're in this building, and typically what floor and what apartment you're on. So if you call from a cell phone, you have to tell them what's your location and where you are. So if you can't just say I've fallen on a regular cell phone. Arrange your furniture so that you can get around. It's always nice if you can arrange your furniture so it makes an easy path that you can walk around, and that if you should close your eyes, can you walk your apartment at night? without bumping into anything. Can you? Been long enough? You know, I can do it in my house. And my apartment's about as big as a stage, so I can walk around. But it's just knowing where you are in your location and where your furniture is. You know, do you need to put a sofa in the middle of the room? Does that make sense? You know, if you're trying to get around, make it so that you can live in there, but also that you're able to make it for your safety. Don't walk on newly washed floors or slippery. That's where your falls will happen. Who here stands on a chair to reach something high? Okay. But then who stands on a real chair? Instead of one, like, these are pretty sturdy. You know, there's always a thing you can ask people. I used to go to my grandma's house all the time, and her honey-do list for Josh was long, and 90% was anything higher than this. She couldn't reach it. You know, so it's change this light bulb, put this up on this shelf. So be careful, you know, use a reach stick, get those grippers, or ask somebody, you know, or just make friends with tall people. So, watch out for your pet. You know, they like to be around. You know, do they, you know, those that have cats and dogs, where are they sleeping? You know, do they like to walk between your feet? My mom's and dad's cat always liked to walk between my mom's feet, you know, with her walker, or lay right down in front of the bathroom. You know, and she'd hit the cat, move it, and it's like, Mom, go ahead. The cat knows. If she didn't like it, she would move if she was upset. If you need to, like, you know, to help out with your emergency phone numbers, keep them in a large print. So it's easy that you can something that you could look at without having to use your glasses. At 3 a.m, if you had to call someone, could you pick up your phone and call without having to get your glasses on and take a look? All I know is if it happens to me, someone can. She won't be able to see my phone numbers help me. Just keep your balance. Critical part of keeping your balance is living our lives to stay active. Are you active? Are you mobile? Are you able to do the exercise? Get up and stretch. Help with avoiding with falls. One of the things the doctors will say is during the commercials, get up and walk around a little bit so that your legs get to move, stretch them, that they don't fall asleep. So little things like that. Kind of exercises, you know, the exercise programs that they have here. If you want to help work out, the pool exercises are always good. Do some walking in the pool. Use the stairs if you're able to. If you want to get that movement, it's better to go down the stairs than up. It takes, you know, work on that first. But you can tell I'm not an exercise person too much. Have your vision and hearing checked. Talk to your doctors. Wear the right shoes. That's one thing that they'll tell you more than anything. Looks or comfort and stability outweigh looks. Just because it doesn't look as pretty, but if it makes sure that you can walk, that it has a no grip or no slip bottoms, if you're able to move around and keep your feet nice and healthy. Get rid of any trip hazards that you may see around your apartment. The easiest thing, I don't want anybody to do this, but get on your hands and knees and walk around. Anything that you can feel is considered a trip hazard. Any questions? Yes.
One of the things you didn't mention with the exercise and that, I've had some of that benign vertigo thing because of the bone loss in the ear, and that's why I'm super careful. My balance seems to be okay, but I'm not taking any chances. I always do with the railing on stairs because that's good exercise, and I never get up on a ladder unless somebody is right there.
Yeah, never get up. Try not to get up on a ladder. You know, ladders are not something.
Not ladder, but a step
Step stool.
or anything like that. They were all not taken, discarded when I moved here. So it's been a long time since I've had a vertigo attack. So I have to be careful. I don't get killed. And even in the elevator, I tend to want to hold the wall.
The one thing that they'll tell you, is a 3 points of contact is what you should always look at doing.
I know I know I'm not following by a physical vision.
Right, but 3 points of contact, feet on the ground, in your hand on a railing of some type if you're moving.
And a
Oh.
straight line sight.
Yep, and walking straight. But also, you know, it's, if you have a walker, if you have a cane, my dad will not use a walker, a cane, but he uses a what's it called, a walking stick, you know? It's still the same thing, but
It's really fancy.
yeah.
Yeah, they are.
But, you know, it's like some people look at it and go, that's not for me. My mom would never use it because it's not pretty. It's not this, and it's old people use them. Mom, you're 83 years old. You need to use it, you know? And it's better to use that than what's your option. Slip and fall, and then you're using the walker, you're using a wheelchair, or you don't get out of bed again anymore. So watch yourself. Make sure that you are using something.
Well, the point I have is when you talked about keeping your balance, you should also, I think, mention, you know, if you have had vertigo attacks and all, you should also make sure you're doubly.
If you've had any vertigo attacks or any dizziness, yes, have it checked out, and then make sure you're hanging on. Yes?
Now, if I'm sick or if I think I'm having a heart attack or whatever, should I call the front desk or call 911?
You can do both. The front desk, it all depends. The biggest thing is how much of a delay. You know, if you can call if you're feeling that bad and you need to get to the hospital, call 911. You know, you call the front desk, they can have someone check you. I mean, they see you, but then they're going to ask, what would you like us to do?
Oh, okay.
It's not, don't take it in any wrong. It's not meant to be wrong, but it's like, what do you want us to do? Not meaning in a bad way, but it's like, what, you want us to call an ambulance, call your family? But
Okay.
they here in the housing, they don't do any medical. They're there to check you and then or just say, okay, there you are, and then call the 911 or call the ambulance company.
So if I call 911, then when they come, do they tell the front desk who they're going to see?
Yeah. They see them when they come in, they'll say where they're going, they hold the elevators for them, and then when they leave, they'll let them know what's going on also.
Okay.
The biggest thing is just, if you think you need to be checked out, call. I tell people, I'd rather come 10 times to check you out and say, oh, you're good, and we can leave, than the one says, oh, she should have called, or we're doing CPR, or you had the stroke, or you had the cough turn into pneumonia or something. So they can come out there, it's a wellness check. They check you out. Anytime that they come out, any ambulance company, they're gonna have you sign some papers. If you don't go to the hospital, it's a refusal, and it just says, we were here, we came, we saw, you don't want to go. And it just releases us from any liability. Once we walk out of the apartment, if you change your mind, you can call us back, because at that moment you didn't want to go. The other one is a billing statement. If you get transported, you sign that, and that gives us permission to bill the insurance company on your behalf. If you don't sign it, and the insurance companies request it, we don't have it, they're going to send you the bill. Same as when you get to the hospital, they have you sign everything. And then it's the other one, it's the HIPAA statement. It says that we're not going to tell any of your information. I always say, unless you become president of the United States, then I'm going to tell everybody I knew you. But otherwise, it's just some stuff. Even if you've been transported the day before, all the EMS agencies around, they tell everybody, we ask sign every single time, just because it's a force of habit to make sure we get them. Okay. Fire safety. This community here is equipped with fire alarm, sprinkler system, portable fire extinguishers, and the pulse stations. Some things to remember is RACE. If there should be a fire or anything like that, RACE is the acronym that you use. It's rescue, activate the fire alarm, contain it, and then extinguish it or evacuate. As a firefighter, do I care if you put out a fire? No. Your job is to get out. Let us come in and handle it. Activate, as you're running out, pull the fire alarm to notify everybody. If it's a manual fire sprinkler system, like in a kitchen or something like that, activate it. Let that and get out. We also tell you is get yourself out of the building. I'll talk later about like if there's an active shooter or something, you get yourself out, because the more people that can get outside, we take a head count, and then we know who we're going in for. If you go back, we see more people getting injured when they go back into a fire, back into a situation to help somebody, because they're trying to help them, they get tired, and then now we have two victims. Instead of going out, you come in and say, you come outside and meet me, And it's like, yes, everybody is outside, everyone's here. We went to a house fire years ago. Engine in the back, engine in the front. We were told there's 2 people in the front. People said there's 2 people inside. The backyard said there's 2 people inside. Come to find out that the 2 in the back were the 2 in the front that they were looking for. So everybody's out of the house and we're looking for nobody. So if everybody gets out all together, if you have an evacuation spot, you meet up, take a head count. We know everybody's here, and then they put the fire out, and then the biggest job is our job as a firefighter. Our job is to save lives. Second is to put the fire out, but it's to save lives number 1 and get everybody out. Yes.
Where are the fire alarm pull stations?
In the kitchen,
Crushing and storefronts.
What?
Give them on the floors. The pull stations are where the common fire systems are. Fires would be in the kitchen and in the storefronts. And if there's a fire, call 911. And then if you have time, call the front desk and let them know.
You said in the kitchen and the storefront?
Downstairs.
Oh, okay.
If there should be a fire, if you can get out of the building as fast as you can. Just remember, when the fire system is activated, all elevators are captured and they're brought down to the main level. The reason for that is elevator shafts act like chimneys. Little fire, the smoke will rise, and if you get stuck in between or whatever, it's just like an oven. So all the elevators are brought down. If you're able to get out, get out. If not, we would put wet towels around the bottom of the doors to keep the smoke from coming in. You're next, move to an area of your apartment furthest away from the door. The further away, get up by the windows. Open your windows if you have to. Close the doors behind you. Stay calm until you hear the all clear. But you want to just make sure that everything is set. Don't open your doors. Don't go in unless the fire's in your apartment. You get out, close your door behind it. If the fire's in the bedroom, close the bedroom door, and then close the front door also.
You said open the window?
If you're able to open the windows on your side so that you get the fresh air.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Just remember, what you see in Hollywood does not happen. In the 33 years in the 17 years at the fire department, and then when I was in Detroit, we were doing rescue 911 stuff. I have never had a car explode on me, and I always tell the patients, they're all nervous, like, don't worry. As soon as we get like this away from it, then it blows up. But I've never had a car explode. That's in Hollywood. Opening a window is not going to make a big issue with the smoke. I mean, it puts the smoke out, but it doesn't. Remember, what happens in Hollywood is there for the show. Yes.
I thought that we were told not, if there's a fire, not to leave our apartments, to use wet towels and stuff. I'm sure if it obviously means if you have a fire in your apartment, you get out.
Yes.
But we're asked to stay in our apartments if there's a fire and that they will be found.
Yes. The reason for that, the question was if to stay in your apartment or to get out. The reason stay in there is because it's accountability, and if you're up on the higher floors, it's trying to get you out. Because what they'll do is they'll evacuate the fire floor first. If you're up on the 19th floor, we'll say, if you're on the 17th floor, if you start to evacuate, the fire is too far above you. This will help them be able to get the equipment up, the firefighters, the rescue equipment, be able to get up in the stairways so that they can get everybody above that down. Was there another question?
Yeah.
No, just quickly, the fire alarms are all on the first floor, and then the kitchen's here. You
Yes.
don't have fire alarms at home.
The pull stations are.
Sorry?
The
Pull station.
Pull stations are downstairs.
We don't have them.
Not in your
No,
kitchen.
our apartment.
Not in your apartments, but downstairs in the kitchen.
Oh, in the restaurant, in the dining room.
Yes, where the biggest fire threat is. But everywhere else you have a sprinkler system. Yes.
Is it a fire hazard to have your apartment door open 24/7?
Is it a hazard to have the door open 24/7? Only if there is a fire. mean, it's a safety,
Well,
it's a safety feature
A
or
couple of
hazard.
people in the building that keep their doors open, way open, 24/7, and it's been reported and nothing's been done to make sure they close the door.
It's not, if, to keep their door open is, it's not, I mean, it's a fire hazard, if there is a fire, you know, that it won't, that it's open, but it's just more of a safety feature, you know, to have them if, so nobody can walk into their apartment or they walk away.
So you're saying it's not a fire hazard?
Not unless there's fire, I mean, if there's a fire, then the
So
door's open.
everybody can leave their apartment doors wide open 24/7 and
It's
it's
your-
not
it's
a
your-
problem?
It's your apartment, it's your choice. Unless the building
Wow.
has a policy for it.
That's amazing.
Yes,
Several years ago, there are some of us that remember, some years ago, we had a terrible fire here. One of the upper floors, a smoker fell asleep while she was smoking. Unfortunately, she died. The announcement at that time, I could hear. Today, I wouldn't be able to hear it. But the fire department responded so quickly. There were several fire department gentlemen with us because there were two people on my floor at the time that used oxygen. And they were here immediately to take care of that. And the announcement was to stay in your apartment. Do not, I mean, what else could you do? Here we are, a large building with somebody, and there was a bad fire. The best thing is to stay in your apartment, but it was so frightening. I never want to go through that again. And I'm sorry, but we still have smokers here. I don't know what to do about it. I'm not a smoker. They're lovely people, but they smoke. Now, if you're a smoker, you can't go 6 hours without smoking. And in the middle of winter, I mean, I don't know what these people do. I'd like to feel safe in my apartment. I now have to use a walker. At that time, I could run around. The smokers deny they're smoking. I don't know what to do about it. We do have smokers. I know they're being fined. They're nice people, they're lovely people, but it's frightening.
well, that you can then bring up to
I
one of
never
your
wanna
resident
go through
meetings.
that.
Bring that at your resident meetings then.
Yeah,
So bring it to your resident meetings and let them,
I mean, we've talked about it before. Now, at the time, the announcement for me was, I could hear it. I don't know if everybody else could hear it, but they said, please stay in your apartment. The fire department is here. I don't know if anybody could hear it. Now, do we get it tested
There-
so often? Christina, can we get that tested?
Yes, Roger's over here nodding to me that yes, it's tested, I think, every 6 months. But we are working with them when they come back to get that volume louder on every floor. I know when we went through the first apartment safety, we talked about some people couldn't hear it, so we are working with them to get the volume on every floor. So when they come out again, you might be annoyed with the multiple, this is a test, only a test. But we wanna make sure that it is loud enough you can hear it within your apartment
The louder.
from the floor.
That'll be loud enough to go through my door if it's closed, so,
Yeah.
okay,
It'll be really loud.
all right, good, I can't hear anything through my door, I'm where
so
I
what
am.
they're saying is don't be in the hallway when it goes off.
Okay,
So when you're able to evacuate, able to get out of the building, the locations to the courtyard or Foster Park. What will happen then is someone from the management team or their designee will try to get together and we'll take a head count to make sure we have everybody here. They'll communicate and then one person will be essentially in charge. I'm not going to say that it's going to be Norm that'll be communicated with. I'm not going to say it's Chris or anybody because it's a 24/7 building.
Yeah.
Because right now, when I was working in Detroit, I was the head honcho. And we had plans up that I was always I would be there in charge. But last weekend I was in Boston, so how would I be in charge? So it'll be the executive director's in charge, or his designee, or whoever it is. So when you get to the location, just all hang together, and then you'll see someone from management or someone that looks like they're in charge, and then they'll start making a head count. And the biggest thing is trying to find out where everybody is, so that we know. If you know that Mary is at the pool hall, then she's there, so make sure you know where your friends are too. Severe weather. Severe weather is starting to come upon us. Last week we had the storms come through. The biggest thing is listen for the announcements. Listen to the weather and listen to the newscasts, listen and be prepared. You'll notice it when it starts to get dark out like everything else. Shelter in place, stay away from the windows, and be prepared to evacuate if necessary. The evacuation process would be the same as a fire. Shelter in place in your apartment. The best place is furthest away from the window, or like up close by your door. If your apartment gets compromised, you can go into the center of the building, into the lobby here, and that's where the strongest part of, you have the pillars for the elevators and everything there. So that's a nice solid part. So come on out of your apartment and you can sit there in the lobby. Make sure all your neighbors are there. But listen for the announcements. You don't need to use the elevators. People want to start moving around. The biggest thing is staff is here to keep an eye on things. They're going to be moving if a situation happens. The elevators are going to be needed. So stay in your apartments and then listen for the announcements. Follow the instructions of the evacuation process. Stay tuned to the news. Prepare and evacuate if ordered, and don't wait till the last minute to leave. There's too many times that people are sitting there, wish I would have. When I did most of my work, when I went down to do Hurricane Katrina and Hurricane Florence in South Carolina and New Orleans, it was people, we go to get them and say, so what happened? I should have listened. You're trying to get there. They wait to the last minute. It's better to evacuate early than to panic and wait to the last minute.
Question,
Yes.
what about those of us, probably 40%, who can't negotiate the spares?
Then that's why when you stay into your apartments, shelter in place, and then we'll come get you if necessary. Or what'll happen is if the staff will use the elevators, they'll take control of them, and then they can systematically start evacuating floors. Mm-hmm. Before I do questions, I'm just going to go through some highlights and make sure everything was covered for you. Some with apartment safety and personal safety, if you are active on your phone and looking for apps, there's one called Life 360. I don't endorse any of these. I don't get any money for them, but they've worked for me. Friends of mine, one guy from my past church, his wife had Alzheimer's, was wandering, put Life 360. What that is, it's just, you can pick your group of friends, and then when she would leave the house, he'd get a text notification. She fell, sat in front of someone's house. He brings her phone up and knows exactly where they're at. So your family, your friends, you get to certain people at certain times that they know where you are in case you get lost. Medications. Once you start using a medication, keep an eye on the dates. Anybody take nitro? Several people take nitro. They like to open up and look at them. Once you open the bottle, it's good for 6 to 9 months. The reason it's in a brown bottle is because it does not like light and it does not like oxygen. It'll start to deteriorate. So if you have medications, just because you've taken whatever medication for cooties, 10 years ago and you still have it, it's not going to be any good. You should get rid of it. Those people that are on oxygen, make sure that you have your apartment labeled. Your oxygen companies will give you they have stickers or magnets that need to be placed on your doors. The best place is the highest part of the door that you can, so that it doesn't get bumped. And they're usually about the width of your metal door frame. What that does is it lets the fire department, EMS, and people know that you have oxygen in your apartment, and that if there's a situation, then they know what to watch for. Oxygen does not explode, but if you take a match, you blow it out, put it into a glass with oxygen, it'll reignite because it helps accelerate. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Should we have fire extinguishers in our apartments?
Should you have fire extinguisher in your apartment? It's not a bad idea, but the best thing is to be safe. And I would have, I can check to see what the building recommends.
They are on every stairwell,
Yeah.
so.
If you get one for your apartment, the best one to get, I would recommend, would be a type K. It's a kitchen extinguisher. Typically, they're about the size of a 20-ounce bottle. They can be used for any type of fire, but they're dry chemical, and all it is mainly to put out a quick kitchen fire, small grease pan, curtains. I have the stair chair here if anybody wants to take a ride in it or see what it's like. I have a stretcher, but thank you for letting me come out. If you have any questions for me, I'll be glad to answer individually. If you have anything, if you think of something later, send them to Chris. I will see her every so often. She can pass me the information, but if you have any questions, like I said, go through your apartment, elbows, take a chair, and if you can get through there, easily, give enough space, because there's nothing worse than having to take our time. Time is your brain cells and your health, and we want to get you out as quick as we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
If you need any of the papers again, this is the emergency medical information. It just says that your name, when it was updated, and then put this with all your other papers together, and that they know where to look for this. If you need another one, there's a sign-in sheet.
We put it on top of our refrigerator.
Correct. Like I said, if you can, go ahead, when you get your prescriptions, tear off that top sheet that's there and put it with it. This will give the hospital, everybody, all the updated information of what you're taking, because there's nothing worse than you take any medications. I take a red one and a yellow striped one and a blue one, and
This red paper, this comes with emergency form that has a spot for you to list your medications, your doctor, any recent medical history. If you need this, I'll give this to you in a plastic sleeve. The only reason I didn't bring them today is because I didn't know how many I would need, and I thought it'd be easier just to have them delivered, so I could have them delivered over the next couple nights. But this is gonna go in the plastic sleeve on top of your refrigerator. And then I've been to a couple apartments when EMS comes, and we check on top of there and it's not there. So make sure that if you don't have one that's updated, or you need a new one, or you've never received one, I have a sign-up sheet. This is called the EMS one. This is emergency fire procedures. This one's laminated, and Michelle, when she was going through the community this last week, she was attaching these to the doors of residents that didn't have one. But if she didn't catch your apartment and you need one, this is the procedures of what to do for a fire. Let me know, and I will have a laminated copy given to Michelle, and she will have the housekeeper affix it to the back of your door. So I have a sign-up sheet here if you need either one of these. This one is fire, and the other one, the red one, is EMS. Thank you all for coming out. I know there's some snacks over there that Molly's serving. Thank you, Josh, and there's some free stuff over there that he brought from his company. Thank you, Josh, for coming out. If you have questions, feel free.
Hey, Judy.
That's important that you keep on your.
It is, I mean, it just has some, some information in case you didn't have to go by the ambulance. This would just give us the information that you need to get to the fire department to take medications, or if you have, okay, so I can give you one, and if you wanna fill it out, just one time when she comes to visit. There's a lot of papers in there, but just, I'll give it to you, and if you wanna fill it out, at least put on there your name and contact information for your sister. Yes. What's your, apartment?
I don't have any of those.
Oh, okay, so you need both.
Oh, I am so happy.
Okay.
And
Dude.
Jarvie, Jarvie, 13.
I'll get some more for you. I'll get you later. Yeah, the EMS one will be delivered, and then the fire one, I'm gonna show what. You're welcome. You're welcome.
And thanks to this gentleman, is he married to you?
Yes.
Oh, well, take this one. The whole family.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, of all the, we have 3 daughters, and only one of them went into healthcare. And they think my office job is boring, so they thought that was more exciting.
And this is the paper.
No, and the where is it? Back on the back table, where Molly is with the snacks, yeah.
Oh, you see it back.
Me. Or what's your, apartment number? I'm gonna remember that someday. Hello.
One of each.
Oh, you need one of these.
It's just.
What's your apartment number? All right, gotcha. Yep.
That's why we're here.
Do you need that one? Yeah, I have that. I can get one.
Chris, just end stream.
She's signing up for you. I did it when you did all the natural disasters, unnatural disasters.
Okay.
Talking about, old time, I lived here a long, not here, on here for a long time. And we did have a small plane crash into one of those buildings past the people. Which was kind of unnatural disaster. Nobody else.
It's one of those things that you look at it and say, it was planned for. Nothing surprises me. People say, what would you believe? Which you didn't believe? Yes, I do. I've not had, luckily, I've only had 2 plane crashes, and one of them was a small 4-seater, and they hit the runway wrong and came down, minor injuries, and another one was one of those little put-together planes, and he took off and hit a tree and came down. But it's like, you never know what's gonna happen. The biggest thing, like, if a plane, let's say something did hit the building, whatever. Yeah, I mean, the sprinkler systems, here, all these little metal caps are sprinklers, they'll go off, and then you have, the biggest thing is just listen to the announcements. Because the hard part is, you can't plan for everything. You never know. We plan for active shooters. I teach active shooter class. It doesn't matter what you do. You have to decide right within the first 5 seconds. Fight, hide, are you gonna fight for your life or are you gonna hide? That's one or the other. Or run. That's what you have to do. Yeah. And it's like, how do you get out? And you know. And I've always said, to me, I can't make that decision right now because it depends on where it's at. If I'm somewhere by myself, I may hide. If I'm with Chris and the kids, then I would, you know, I mean, we've been in a situation where when I was downtown Detroit, we had a shooter at the Detroit Institute of Arts. We had a big medical incident. I went over to it. Chris and my youngest daughter were shopping. They were going to the VA, and the shooting happened right there. So everybody's running, you know. So I finally got a situation where someone covered, and they're covered, so they didn't know what's going on. I was trying to get a hold of them. Finally, they were with me, and I wear a bulletproof vest when I do large events. I'm not worried about getting shot. I use it because wintertime it's warm. But so I gave my youngest daughter, I gave it to her. You know, she's like, no. I said, I'm still going to be in front of you. I said, you're the bulletproof vest. You're the most protected kid down here. But we're going this way, and I will still be in front of you. You know, if I had the vest on, you'd hide behind me. But you know, I'm still going to be here. I'm going to protect you no matter what. So it's just a matter of you can write down every single plan, and then the next one, a lion's going to escape from the zoo down here, and then how do you plan for that? So,
Well, we have.
yeah.
Captured, put in a secure place. You also have to realize okay, that was kind of interesting. I found out about the drifting somewhere without getting it. And I'm gonna have to go on the cover of the refrigerator, all this stuff, and cookie jar.
It's just the reason for that is because everyone has the same spot.
Right.
Everyone has their fridge. And
Well, no, that makes sense. They can go right to run at the door. If I like.
What's that?
How are you?